We're making the rounds, and we're back after our holiday hiatus. I'm Jim Basswell alongside ESPN.com boxing editor Brian Campbell. And it's been a good time off, but we're ready to get back in the saddle.
I'm ready, Jim.
Right? You're ready to get back in the saddle. We begin with a forecast for Pac-Man. Manny Pacquiao is coming off his November 23rd dominance of Brandon Rios and appears to be in a better place than he's been in quite some time. As we look ahead, Pacquiao, who currently rides a streak of fights without delivering a knockout since 2009, had suffered losses to Juan Manuel Marquez and Tim Bradley prior to his victory over Rios. So now, what does this fighter who's not over the hill and still has some big fights and big draws ahead, where does he go next? Brian, what are the options for Pacquiao's next fight?
Well, Jim, short-term, Pacquiao's got many options. Long-term, maybe not so much, but we can get to that later. Right away, look, Pacquiao's team met over the weekend. They're going to be talking more this week, trying to finalize that list down. You know, you're really looking at 3, but maybe 2, because Juan Manuel Marquez right now doesn't want the 5th fight with Manny Pacquiao. So what we're really down to is his former sparring partner, Ruslan Provodnikov, or the rematch with Timothy Bradley Jr.
Well, who is it? Which fight comes first?
Well, Jim, we know it's going to be April 12th in Las Vegas, a pay-per-view fight. But if I'm going to have to pick here, I'm going to have to go with Timothy Bradley Jr. There's a little bit of a hiccup for the Provodnikov fight. They're both trained by Freddie Roach. In the beginning, both Roach and Provodnikov very outwardly saying, look, I don't want this fight. They've softened a little bit. They've changed their tune a little bit. But in the end, I think maybe they're using that to negotiate better with Bradley. The fight here is a rematch, of course, from the very contentious 2012 fight where everyone thought Pacquiao had won. The decision went to Bradley. But, Jim, things have changed in the interim. This could be a very, very good fight. You know, on paper, maybe the best fight that could be made this year. And
absolutely.
I'm saying let's go for it.
Let's do it. Let's do it. All of the other top choices at 140 and 147 are aligned with Golden Boy. So let's bring in ESPN boxing contributor Kieran Mulvaney. And Kieran, what happened to the hope that the top-ranked Golden Boy Riv could be a good thing for boxing?
I'm not sure I got that memo, actually. I mean, I think that boxing's done really well over the last year or so, despite itself. As far as, say, Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather are concerned, if they're having trouble finding good opponents, then, you know, a plague on both their houses, right? They're the ones who started all this nonsense by not fighting several years ago. The unfortunate thing is that there's collateral damage. And on, say, like the Golden Boy side, like from 160 to 175, you got guys like Peter Quillen, and even to some extent Bernard Hopkins is suffering a little bit because the really good fighters are on the other side. Now, 140, 147... Timothy Bradley, if he doesn't get a Manny Pacquiao fight, who is he going to fight? It's a real shame because it's a terrific fighter who's done real well. He's bounced back from disappointment, and he's not getting necessarily the really big fights that he deserves, and that's the unfortunate thing. I think, to be honest with you, that as long as Floyd and Manny are continuing to fight, the situation is going to continue. When they're both retired, probably by the end of 2015, we might get some normalcy returning to the sport.